When you forgot your MRI here.
Okay.
Check. Hey guys, right at the start of my presentation, I'm going to ask for audience participation. I know it's annoying, but I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you've seen this image before. Thank you. So for those of you who don't know, this is the ChatGPT logo. It has caused quite a stir in the last 2-3 months, both with positive media attention, like what it can do, how it can help us, and then both with negative attention, how it's going to take all our jobs, and will we survive after 5 years of this technology being around, and all this that comes with media hype. So let's see what it actually can do, right? Let's say you're driving down the road, you're driving your kids to school, and one of them tells you they forgot one of their books at home. Now, all of a sudden, you have to go all the way back, pick up the book, and then go back to drive them to school and bring yourself to work. Well, now you're late, right? So I don't know, maybe you've taken too much coffee that morning, or you're just nervous because of the meeting with your boss that day. You're going to drive faster than you normally would. What happens is that you're driving 11 above in the school zone. You get a huge speeding ticket. You're really angry inside. You want to, you shouldn't say what you should do, but you act smart. You just sign the fine and you say, the officer, have a good day, and that's it. But you're still angry. You want to do something about it. Well, what can you do? Like you can either hire a lawyer, which is really expensive, or you could represent yourself, which is cheap, but very not recommended for people not trained in law, right? Well, now there's a third option. This is the first AI lawyer. This startup has made an AI that gets the input, which is the audio from the prosecutor, presumably, reading your case, or the judge, and it identifies facts in your favor, in your case, and then it creates some kind of defense for you. And you can just read this out in court instead of hiring a lawyer. So think about what this means. Think about what the AI has done here. First, it has to recognize what the law says about your particular case. It has to recognize traffic codes. It has to know what the prosecution is saying. It has to, from all the facts that are present for your case, it has to pick the favorable facts for you. And at the end, it has to produce an output that can convince either the judge or the jury, depending on to give you a more lenient punishment than what you got from the police officer. So think a bit for a moment, like what could this do when applied to your business? Imagine, like you go on holiday, then you come back 1 week later, there's like 1,000 unread emails in your inbox. What if you had some kind of AI that could just give you a quick summary of all that? What if, like, instead of asking your manager for sick leave, what if you could just enter your information to the AI and get a response instantly? What if you could ask it how to get a promotion, right? That would be useful. Um, well, let's see if it can actually do this. Let me try to explain a bit how the technology works. This is just one of the possible models. It's a latent diffusion model. So here in this X, this is all your data. This is images. It can read a whole bunch of books. In fact, it can read the whole internet over many times. It can read, it can listen to audio. And what does it do with all this information? Well, it learns. It learns as if you would learn from a lecture, right? It does some kind of processing, and then it forms this Z, which is essentially just an abstraction of the model's knowledge about all this data here. This is similar to like when you learn biology, like you don't memorize the individual letters in the book, but you have some kind of summary in your mind of what you just read. And this is particular to this model, but it's actually a common framework along many of them. The model then tests itself by creating other alternative knowledge patterns. So, for example, like it adds noise to the images and it tries to get back the original, or like you can add static to music and try to revert that process. This is like learning math and doing exercises. Obviously, somebody has solved those problems before, but even if you do it, it helps you learn. And how do these models actually use this, right? So all they did so far is that they created this knowledge base for their own, this ZT over here. But this is just a set of numbers. It's not useful on its own. Well, you can just go back along this process and try to get back your original data here, right? So, well, what have we done so far? We've basically done nothing, right? We fed some data in and then we got something out. Like this, what was the point of all this? Well, the point is that here you can enter your question. This is like you being the professor and asking the model, who is your student. You ask it difficult questions, you ask it easy questions, you ask it what it learned last Thursday or something like that. And the model is supposed to give you an answer because that's what it was trained to do. So this seems kind of useful, right? Well, and this is basically the framework along which all of these models pretty much work in. The difference is that this is optimized for images and other models are optimized for text, i.e. the transformer model on which ChatGPT is based. So what it cannot do? Well, it can't do anything physical. It can't help you paint your garage. It can't make you exercise. You have to do it. It can encourage you, but you can very easily ignore it. Well, it can't improve your relationship with your boss, that's for sure. You have to put in the work and be smart and contribute. Or it cannot make your work contribution useless. So, because remember, like all this data that we fed it in, all of these images, books, internet, audio, podcasts, music, who created all that? Right? It was humans, wasn't it? So there you go. Like, and turns out it cannot even be a lawyer anymore because guess what? The lawyers it was supposed to replace, they didn't like it too much, so they sued. Well, what was the whole point of this presentation? Well, I want to give both the successes and the fails of this technology, because when you read about it online, you get only the extremes, right? But there's a lot of middle ground as to what happens. And so I think the only thing you should take away from this presentation is this. Like, don't be scared of it. Don't be super excited. Just be rational. Think about how you can apply this to help you, right? like it's just a helpful tool after all. It's like your car. It all depends on how you use it, but that's all it is, just a tool. Thank you. No questions.
No questions. Okay.